welcome to the Lowdown Mortgage Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is someone who has been in finance since she was 19 years old, managing a branch of employees twice her age before most people figure out what they even want to do for a living, and who has spent the last 39 years building a reputation in mortgage so strong that agents tell buyers that they don't even need a pre-approval letter if Monica said it's done. Monica Bowman, welcome to the Lowdown.
Thank you. Thank you, Connor. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm excited to have you here. Thanks for joining. I think your experience in this industry is going to be great to really sort of unpack and talk about. You're clearly serving your community really well and have built this tremendous reputation. And, I think anyone who's listening can learn a lot from someone like you who has become an expert in their field, a student of the profession. And we'll dive into all that. But I want to kind of get started. Let's go back to when you're 19 years old, you're in college, you're working part time, and somehow ended up running a branch of, a finance branch where you've got middle aged men, right? Just sort of that you're managing, and they're not exactly thrilled about all that. But how
No.
did that happen? Like, how did you end up in that room? How did you handle that situation?
I remember them trying to recruit me for this finance company, and I finally accepted, thinking, okay, I'll pick up a few hours just for a little income while I'm going to school. And I started at the bottom position at the company, and I don't know, I just found it easy and somehow ended up managing it. They wanted me to go to Washington State at their corporate office, and I was like, no, I'm not leaving California. There's no way. But yeah, I was blessed that I'm good with finance.
Yeah, that was something that I can, could could really sense in getting to know you is that like you're a numbers gal, right? Like I can really tell that you understand the financial side of things really well. But you had this like law school path laid out before you, and mortgage wasn't always the plan. You ultimately chose that path. What motivated that decision? Why go from sort of the lawyer path over into financial services?
Into finance, yes. My father had it all set up for me to go to Santa Clara Law School, but after working for some attorneys while I was still in college, I decided that just wasn't my path. And finance kind of fell in my lap, and I realized, wow, I'm excellent at problem solving, thinking outside the box, putting puzzles together, solving what feels and looks like the impossible. It just gives me this drive to solve it. So it just all
Yeah,
fell
isn't
in
it great
place
how life works
nicely.
out that way
It
sometimes? Like we
is.
feel like we've got best laid plans in front of us, and then I think that's what your these are all about, right? Like we go in, we get out of high school and we go out to attack the world with this great idea in mind, and then we start to go kind of find ourselves and go, you know what, maybe this is really what I should be doing. And my degree's in fine arts, and here I am, in the mortgage industry. So how did that happen? I don't know. But now, what's really cool about your story is, as you've been taking care of clients and solving these puzzles and really just embracing your skill set, the agents in your market, will are telling buyers like, hey, Monica says it's good. It's good. We don't need the letter, the pre-approval letter. That takes, years to earn that kind of trust. What do you think actually, what do you think you did to build that trust? Because most people would say it was just work hard and leave it at that. But what's your secret sauce?
Just work hard doesn't do it. I really keep my word. I honor my word to an extreme degree. I go through the trouble. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I give my approvals, I just don't do a superficial job. I go all the way in and double, triple check everything. And I'm really lucky that I live in a small community, Santa Cruz County, California. When you live in a small community, your reputation follows you much easier. whether it's good or bad, it follows you much easier. And I think that's wonderful because it keeps people accountable for their behavior, their methods, and their actions. And I've just been really lucky and really blessed that everybody got to know me over the years. I've been here a very long time, so it's worked out nicely.
Yeah, I love when I talk with people who are in sort of these smaller communities, and something that's really nuanced about mortgage is, a loan officer's business is going to reflect the community that they're in. And sometimes you're in a big city like where I'm at in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Other times you're in, Santa Cruz County. And so where it's a little smaller and concentrated, and yet you can have success in both markets, but it's just sort of a different way of going about business and the needs are different. What do you think about your community is different from like a larger city? Have you ever sort of taken time to think about that, or what makes your market different?
I don't know if I've thought about it in that much depth. I used to do financing nationwide in the past, so I've definitely done a lot of financing in large cities and so forth. But Santa Cruz County, being a beach town and a vacation town, is not the easiest place to do financing. I find that a lot of out of town lenders have higher failure rates when they're doing financing in this county. So it's a little bit more unique and complex, just like any county is, with its own nuances. Of course, that helps. We have a lot of good local lenders in our county. It helps everybody keep the business locally just because it is a challenging community to do financing in.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're in a smaller community, you're going to run into buyers at the grocery store. You're going to do multiple transactions for them over the course of time. And someone like you have been doing this as long as you have. I think I'm sure you've run into those circumstances. So I think it's great that you have kind of established yourself as, a mayor of your town or mayor of your zip code kind of thing. Now, you mentioned to me earlier, sort of offline, that you had helped I thought this was a great story. You helped a couple who had been, declined over 30 times over nearly like 5 years.
Yes.
Walk us through like how you look at a file like that differently than everyone else, and how do you find a path forward on these difficult loans?
I'm known for solving more complex loans, so they come my way more. This couple was in such bad shape, both financially, medically. I couldn't turn them away or not put the ridiculous amount of hours it took to figure out their puzzle. They had 31 declines in 5 years. What impresses me is these borrowers having the tenacity with all the medical ailments they were dealing with and the financial hardships to keep going after another loan again and again. I don't know if I would have it in me to go to a third lender or a fourth, let alone 31. So honestly, I think they're the ones who deserve the credit on it because I think I would have given up. And I'm not the kind of person who gives up. I become more tenacious when I can't solve something, but 31 times, so they're the ones who really deserved it. But yes, it took a while and we got it done. I'm really happy we got it done. I wish I'd met them 5 years sooner, but
Right. Well, I think you make a great point, though. I mean, the loan officer, of course, and the realtor, they play their part, but I think the real hero is the buyer themselves. Like they are doing the hard part to be able to qualify to buy the home, and and I think there's a lot of credit due to the borrower to get their finances in order and be able to achieve home ownership. And loan officers are just facilitating that and helping along the way and really solving sometimes a very difficult puzzle, but because they don't always make it easy, right?
no.
But and a part of that though is, to your credit, you have to be an expert on the guidelines and really know the what's possible. And so I know, for we got into this conversation before, like, you are really a student of the profession. You described reading guidelines before you fell asleep at night. You're on the treadmill at 5 a.m. in the morning, kind of going over, what the guidelines are. That's not how most people would describe how they use their downtime. What is it about the details of the industry that excites you and that makes you want to continue trying to learn more?
Well, I feel like if I don't keep learning more, every time I spend a few minutes reading guidelines, I learn so much. If I've been doing this for almost 4 decades and I'm still learning so much from reading a few minutes of guidelines, of course you can never keep up with it. It's an impossibility because it's continuously changing, but you still have to do your due diligence. Otherwise your clients pay the price of your lack of knowledge or misinformation. And I never want to be one of those nightmare stories. That's what drives me or scares me to making sure I'm never one of those. I don't know. I get a lot out of reading guidelines, or when I reach out to my amazing underwriting and processing and doc staff. I mean, any loan officer is only as good as their support team. I have so many higher ups that I reach out to with out of the box thinking and crazy things that I come up with. And they have to put up with me getting to the bottom of, how do you do this? Is it possible? Have you ever heard of it? So we come up with new, better solutions that everyone else can benefit from as well. You just have to keep pursuing it over and over and over again until you get the result you're after.
Yeah, and along the way you're getting in the reps, right? Like I feel like the
Yes.
more difficult loans you see, the more you start to understand, hey, I've seen this before, I know what to do now. And I mean with that experience comes wisdom, and now you've been there before, so you know the path forward and the next time it happens. Now I wanted to get into something that I think is really important because I hear this a lot where, there's a lot of kind of preaching to originators about build your team, get that support around you, that's the only way to grow, that sort of thing. But there is a human element that you had mentioned to me that had I've become aware of just in having conversations with people through the show, that doesn't make everyone comfortable to hire someone, right? You said that if you aren't really certain in the market holding up, that you'd rather work for yourself than hire someone that, might have to be laid off in the future. And this is a cyclical industry. We see that over and over again, and it's unfortunate, obviously. But after 39 years of like watching these cycles and these ups and downs and some of these layoff cycles that happened, how has that shaped the way that you want to operate your business?
It makes it harder and easier, actually, both, to make decisions about whether you're hiring more LOAs, more loan officer assistants, more processing, more support staff, or if you're just willing to work a little bit longer each day yourself to get it done. So we definitely make deep, thoughtful decisions about when to hire and when not to, so that we're not derailing somebody's life by laying them off. So that definitely goes into the formula of when to hire and when not to. There are times that I am so busy I can't function with less than, I've had 7 assistants at a time, and there are times where I've had 1 or 2 or 0. So it's a whole range depending on our economy.
Yeah. But I think it's such a great call out, and it shows just your awareness of the situation and the heart you have for others to not put them in a precarious situation where, a market fluctuation could make things, just life altering for lack of a better term. But I really appreciate that you are mindful of that. And I mean, you've also kind of been through another, I don't want to say casualty, but another, experience in this industry where you were at a company that got acquired by another. And then, in that moment, you had like a ton of business going on, right? And so several clients going into contract on the same day that you transition from one company to another via an acquisition. You're in a brand new system that you didn't know yet. Like,
Mhm.
what got you through that stretch, and how do you manage, for anybody who might go through that in the future, like what advice would you give someone who is going through like an acquisition?
Well, we were lucky with our acquisition that Academy Mortgage and Guild Mortgage are really amazing companies in their culture and very like-minded, very caring about their employees, their clients, the communities they work in. So that part of it was easy. Yes, the day that we merged, I had 7 clients go into contract the night before, which was a Sunday night. I woke up super sick and I had to learn the whole system. I basically cried all day long while I was working 14 hours a day trying to process everything. And The only reason I survived it is my amazing team, my support staff, whether it was my district manager, my processors, my LOAs, my underwriters. I torture everybody for help when I needed to get it done. The only priority is you have to honor your word and protect your clients with the timing they have. And somehow we pulled everything off beautifully, always on time or early. Knock on wood, I seem to manage that. So Guild does have great systems, which is wonderful, but it was a very difficult transition for me we've all had a lot of transitions after 2008 and all the companies buying each other out. So we definitely learned to transition over and over and over, but we managed it somehow.
Well, that's
Group
wonderful. I'm
effort.
glad you did. Yeah, I mean, those are those situations, and I anticipate we'll see more of that in the future as, the market continues to drag on the way it has. But I feel like we're due for some more consolidation and things like that, throughout the industry. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens as far as that goes. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like having that strong team behind you and just putting your blinders on, I think is really the secret sauce to that scenario. And you might have to work a few extra hours in the short term to make sure that everything transitions well, but a little elbow grease can get the job done there. Now, kind of pivoting from the professional side of things and kind of into mixing personal and professional, you've got a real estate portfolio and you manage that yourself, and you even joke that like your friends are out going out shopping and you would prefer to go buy houses, right? So
Yes.
how does being a property owner and someone who has a real estate portfolio, um you know what kind of perspective has that given you when you're advising clients about purchasing their own?
Well, a much more realistic point of view to be able to advise them on the pros and cons. When we're doing a loan, there are two realities that coexist. One is the human reality of making sure on a human level you're setting your clients up for success and it works for them, their lifestyle, their nuances and needs. And then, of course, guideline, which rules what we can and cannot do. So both matter. And I try and look at both of them individually and separately to make sure this is the right path for this client. So I share very openly about all of my own experiences, whether it's how you choose the home you're going to live in yourself, whether it's rental properties, when do you stop at how many rental properties. So of course, the more involved you are in real estate and owning and managing, the better you can guide others. You have to live it to be able to guide properly, not just mentally know it.
Yeah, I call that the blessing of perspective, right? Like, and it's interesting because a lot of times, if you're not constantly going through what your clients are going through, meaning you're not buying homes yourself, and maybe you've just bought one home 15 years ago and you still live there, but you continue to do mortgages, you start to lose a little bit of like what it's like to go through what that the client is going. And not that I'm saying, you should just go buy a house every year just to remind yourself of what that is. But I do believe there is some value in going through, the process that you're putting them through and really reminding yourself so that you can be mindful of what it is they're experiencing and what that stress is like and those kinds of things. Do you find that that's been helpful for you?
Very much so, Connor. I think how you worded it is well said. It's very stressful to get financing. It's very stressful to be on the other side of the desk of your lender. You're still working full time, probably raising children, being a partner and a spouse. And on top of that, you have to spend all this money, figure out all these finances and nuances. And for a person who knows nothing about the process, it's an overwhelming amount of information. And we have to repeat it many, many times and practice it with each client over and over just to make sure there was no selective hearing going on, which seems to be a human thing to do when you're overwhelmed. So I think it's really important to revisit the same subject several times so they get comfortable with the whole idea and start grasping it. To put it all in writing is extremely important. I try and follow every conversation with an email note or a text note, just so they have it in writing to go visit again. Yet that may still not be enough. So I've learned the hard way that a lot of My clients, when they go just on trust and don't open up any documents, they don't read anything, it makes it a little bit more challenging to help them. So I literally hold hands with them and kind of encourage everyone, no, you have to go through these documents with me and make sure you don't have any questions. Instead of, oh
Yeah.
no, I trust you. I'm like, no, it's not about trust. You need to comprehend it all. Thank you that you trust
Right.
me, but we're still going through these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, they say we retain something like 10% of a conversation, right? And so that's a great point that you do have to continue to reinforce some of the things that you talk about because, odds are in the middle of that conversation, their mind is bouncing around to I got to pick so and so up from soccer here in 30 minutes. I've got to do this later tonight. What are we going to have for dinner? What's going on at the job, all these different things are going on, like there's still life happening to every client, and so to say it once and expect that they've got it all, you know
No, well said, Connor. It really is a huge part of it. Huge. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now doing the kind of volume that you do and helping as many folks as you do in the course of a year, it takes a toll on someone. And I mean, I can't imagine what life was like for you when you had 7 assistants and all of the transactions happening in that regard. But, sometimes that comes at the sacrifice of, a balance. What does a better version of balance look like for you? I mean, if you were able to kind of have the perfect setup, what would that be?
Well, in my younger years, I definitely worked ridiculous hours, 12 to 16 hours a day on a regular basis, even with 7 assistants. And I had the energy and the drive for it. So, yes, there was no balance to that. You don't get to watch your children grow up the same way and enjoy family. Balance right now for me is not working past 8, 9, 10 hours a day, no matter what. They can wait for me for the next day or not. Either way is fine. More of a balance would be me taking my work hours down to 8 hours a day, but at least I take the weekends off now. I get to enjoy my family and grandchildren and take care of my health a little more and have a lot more balance than I have in the past.
How difficult has that been for you? I mean, is it hard to turn it
Very,
off?
very.
Yeah.
One, I love what I do. I really love the result of being able to change people's lives for the better and having made such a change in the direction of their lives, in the direction of their retirement. I get on fire when I'm helping an underdog. It really, just the result alone of helping the least qualified client have a better life by having a home that they can make a few 100,000 on to retire, which is better than having rented their whole lives. That motivates me. That keeps my fire lit inside to do that. So that's what keeps me going. But yes, I need more balance and I'm working on that.
Yeah.
It's not been easy. Self care is not what comes easy to me. Taking care of others comes easy to me. So I'm still learning.
You're not alone on that, Monica. I mean, that's
No,
something that's common on this show and in this industry, and I think it's amazing, right? That so many originators are so focused on the people that they're helping and the end result and what they're doing, to help their communities. I mean, home ownership has such an impact on so many things, right? I mean, people who own homes statistically stay in their jobs a longer period of time. They, of course, generate more generational wealth for them and their families in the future. And so it's a big, big deal being able to help someone get into a home. But there's oftentimes a very big cost of the loan officer is taking on personally in order to do that at scale. And it can be difficult to kind of let go of some parts of that process to set those boundaries. I mean, I was talking with someone
absolutely.
yesterday I was talking with somebody yesterday whose new boundary is to turn it off at 7:30. And now they're working towards trying to get to, where they can turn it off at 5 o'clock. And so it's a very difficult thing that a lot of originators struggle with, especially as they grow. But I want to end on this because it's clear that you are passionate about helping other people. And the last time we spoke, you even mentioned that you felt like you should be paying your clients for the joy that it gives you to watch them like flourish. After nearly 4 years in the decades, what does it mean to you to still feel that way about what you do?
I happen to just come across the most amazing people. I mean, I'm introduced to buyers or people who are refinancing that are just some of the most amazing souls to get to know. So I feel so lucky to be working for them and with them to get to their goal and be a part of their journey. I just closed, we finally funded this morning for an amazing woman I've been working with for 4, 5, maybe almost 6 years now. And she is one of the people that I called and told her this has been so joyous for me to watch you do so well after all the hurdles we've overcome in the past few years for you to accomplish this. I did feel like I told her I feel like I should be paying you. She goes, "You're crazy." But there's so much love and relationship that you build with your clients. I mean, they become your extended family. You take them under your wing. My clients call me for every kind of help, not just their home finance. Any legal matter that comes up, any finance, any weird things that come up, I'm often the person they come to first for direction on what to do. And I'm honored that they feel that way.
Yeah, is it a little like bittersweet when it's over? I mean, because it's great to hear that they still stay in touch with you, but that can't be everyone. So does it feel a little like, well, I don't know if I'll ever talk to this person again, or like, what's that feeling like?
You know it well. You said really nicely, Connor. When it's a client that you have so much love for, yes, I've texted several clients and they've texted me back. I'm having withdrawals. I was bugging you 20 times a day for 6 months and now it's zero. So I
Mhm.
do get sweet text messages from my clients that way. And I have sent text messages and voicemails to certain clients about that as well. As much as I care about them, my demands in life between work and taking care of the family and myself, I can't check on everyone all the time, but I try and reach out to everybody as much as I can just to see if they're okay. Or I'll hear from them every once in a while. And then I'm like, why didn't you reach out sooner if you were struggling? We didn't want to bother you. So I try and let everybody know you're never bothering me. Bothering me is not calling me when you need help. So, right?
Well
We all
said.
help each
I love
other.
that.
None of us
Yeah.
make it through
Yeah.
life without getting help from someone. So I think it's important to help people. I help a lot of loan officers close their loans when they're having trouble. Their agents call me and go, "Will you help so and so?" They put me on the phone. I let them know I'm not here to take your loan. I'm just trying to come up with a solution for you. I have closed dozens of loans for other loan officers instead of taking the loan away.
Yeah. I
Doesn't
love
always
that. And I love
work.
your heart for that.
Thank
Well,
you. It comes
but
back a
I think
hundredfold.
that's yeah, that abundance mentality is really present in a lot of folks that are performing at a high level in this industry. It can be easy to have that scarcity mindset, not know where the next loan is coming from, not be, confident in being able to help others in that way and hoping that maybe why don't you just send it to me? I'll get it done sort of mentality. But, you know, over and over again, I think it's been proven that having that abundance mentality, living with like kind of an open hand has really helped a lot of originators excel, build trust, and just have a reputation of being, having that servant's attitude. And that pays off over time. So
Basic
there's a big
human decency,
compound effect to that.
right?
Yeah,
In any
absolutely.
business, if we
Well,
approach
Monica,
everything that way.
absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you for being a part of the lowdown, being open to kind of going along with this journey here and just being a part of the show. When I reach out to guests to join this show, a lot of times it's the first time we've ever talked. And so when people agree to be on the lowdown, sometimes they don't know exactly what they're getting into. So I really appreciate you, being willing to share your story
Thank you.
and being a part of this. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and
Thank
I
you.
just really look forward to what's next for you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Connor. Likewise, I appreciate you having me and your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.